Senator, I know this is a very important day for you when your own bill like that, an important bill, comes before the committee for a vote. I want to go to something that we just heard Senator Schumer say. He said to that committee, to everyone in that room, that everyone in that room, meaning Mitch McConnell and every Republican senator, knows that Donald Trump is telling a big lie about the election. Did any of them counter that? Did any of them debate that and say, no, Donald Trump hasn't told any lies about the election?
No, not at all. They didn't push back on Schumer's comments in any possible way. Schumer was absolutely accurate. Every senator in that room, Democrats and Republicans, understand this big lie. And yet they are following a path to essentially continue the assault on the Capitol by proceeding to try to enable states to block citizens from voting. So January 6th, it was about burning the ballots for 80 million Americans. Now it's about preventing millions of Americans from voting by allowing state after state after state to erect barriers that prevent targeted communities from being able to participate in American elections.
The bill that you've brought forward, you have 49 co-sponsors in the Senate. That's an extraordinary achievement in and of itself to get that far that quickly. Joe Manchin's the only senator who hasn't signed on to it. Do you have any sense of Joe Manchin's view of this legislation and why he has not signed on to it?
Well, Joe has made it very clear that he wants to explore issues about how the bill is implemented, the ideas and concerns of Secretary of State from across the country, make sure we're really tackling the issues that need to be tackled. So he's in thoughtful consideration. And also part of the due deliberation a senator is well entitled to and should be engaged in. I think what we proposed today was a manager's amendment that gave enormous amount of adjustments based on that feedback from secretaries of state and local election officials. And the Republicans turned it down, voted on a party line basis. We don't want to have improvements in this bill that are recommended by secretaries of states across this country. We want to kill it. And it really comes down to it's three core issues in this bill. Keep billionaires from buying elections. Give every American full access to the ballot, and stop the gerrymandering that destroys equal representation. That's the battleground.
Let's listen to what Senator Klobuchar, who's the chair of the committee, had to say about the campaign finance components of this.
The secret money is flooding our elections, denying voters a right to know who is trying to influence their vote. Spending for the 2020 election cycle was approximately $14 billion. That's more than double the 2016 election cycle. And while more than 98% of Americans who made political contributions last year gave less than $200, those who gave donations larger than that accounted for nearly 3/4 of all contributions made. We need to take these threats to our democracy head on with immediate action to restore Americans' confidence in our political system. And that's exactly what the For the People Act does.
Senator, in the past, this would be considered two different pieces of legislation. Campaign finance reform was always one discussion and one kind of legislative vehicle. And voting rights were always another discussion in another kind of legislative vehicle. Why have they been combined here?
Well, this is about election protection, and you have to address the money side of this, and you have to address the access to the ballot side, and that third point, you have to address equal representation. So these three things all work together. When you put anything through the Senate, it's extremely hard to do on policy, and so if we were to try to have three separate bills, it would be an opportunity for it to never get done. And we want it to get done. It has to get done. And these three things are so interconnected. They support each other. They're about the big things that Americans say they want fixed. Supermajority of Americans say absolutely address these things. And we're talking Democrats, Independents, Republicans. They do not want billionaires buying election. They do not want groups to be targeted to prevent them from voting. Americans think we got past that in 1965. That's half a century ago. And yet we're now deep again into trying to prevent Black Americans, poor Americans, college students, and Native Americans from being able to cast a ballot.
Let's listen to what Stacey Abrams said about this situation today.
I think the more we watch these states undertake the continuation of what the insurrectionists began on January 6th, the more likely we are to see real response at the federal level. This is not the first time the federal government has had to step in and reassert the fundamental notions of who we are as a nation. And my hope is that while this process continues in the U.S. Senate, that we see a return to just the fundamentals.
Senator, the Republicans, so far, there are no Republicans who see it your way or see it Stacey Abrams' way. How would this legislation move in the Senate since it cannot be included in a reconciliation bill?
Well, so it will go to the floor either by the Senate voting by simple majority, and that's 50 votes plus a vice president to pry it loose from the committee, or by it coming through the majority leader's office through a rule called Rule 14, which is a very common way of putting issues on the floor. And then we're going to be immersed in an extended debate in which I anticipate there will be 100 amendments considered. And out of that robust debate, in the end, we have to come together and say that this has to pass. If we can't bring any Republicans to join us, and Mitch McConnell has been very clear that basically Republicans are barred. They are barred from trying to ensure that every American can vote. They are barred from even entertaining the thought that maybe billionaires shouldn't be able to buy elections. And they're absolutely barred from trying to stop gerrymandering, which they estimate gives them a 15-vote advantage in the House. And they think with redistricting coming up, maybe they can get 25-vote advantage in the House by savagely attacking equal representation. So in the end, it's very unlikely we'll have a single Republican join us. I certainly hope we will. But then 50 Democrats will have to figure out how to get this bill passed in one way or another.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.